Welcome to Joe's Astrology. This is a video on Taurus Rising. So I want to use an example chart to really go through what Taurus Rising could be about. Not necessarily always about this. And this is the chart of Aaron Doughty. He's a famous YouTuber, and he's also a spiritual YouTuber into spirituality and things of that nature. And I did a reading on his chart before, and without the birth time, and I went back and I watched it, and the audio is messed up, so this might be my second attempt here. But really, we're talking about Taurus Rising here. I'm not sure this is his exact chart. I did discover that it's quite possible his rising is Taurus. So this might not be, he might not even be a Taurus rising. But from what I saw in one of his videos, I think he's a Taurus rising. I think he said that in one of his astrology videos. So let's get into it, Taurus rising and what it can look like. Because you do have to look at the whole chart and talk to the person. So Taurus rising, we can see, is ruled by Venus. And in this chart, I want to focus on money. So the first thing, especially in today's world that we're living in, when I see Taurus rising, I see a person who is going to be some way affiliated, invested, attached to, involved in money more so than someone else. Now, I have a friend as well. I just say this as well. I have a friend who has a Taurus rising and a Sagittarius stellium in the 7th. Great guy, very relatable. As I said, the stellium and Sagittarius in the 7th. And his life, though, you could say, a lot of times when I see him and talk to him, the conversation has to do with money. So, for example, I worked with him. When I worked with this guy where he was working a full-time job, and then he would work Sundays. He'd work his full-time job, and then he would work Sundays all day at this place that I worked with him to make extra money. And he did this for a long time, 6 days a week. I know part of it was that 7th house. We were all friends, and he enjoyed that as well. But part of it was the money, the extra money. And last time I saw him, he talked about getting a raise and how his job would be fine until he needed more money. And what does he do for a living? He's in finance. He works in finance. That's what his degree's in. And Taurus rising, ruled by Venus. So here we have Aaron Doughty. And where's his Venus? It's in Scorpio. In the 6th, it might not be in the 6th, but it's in Scorpio. We can definitely say it's in Scorpio. And it's conjunct Pluto, the planet of power, wealth. Think of 8th house, other people's money. Taurus is more your money, maybe your feelings about money. This idea of possessiveness. A lot of times we go looking for other people's money. A lot of it because of how we feel within ourselves about money. How secure are we in our own self? And we see here, what I wanted to really point out with this guy is that he's got lots of subscribers, and we see this Venus in Scorpio. I read some things of what he charges and whatnot, and this guy is definitely about the money. Now, I'm not saying that it's a bad thing, because it kind of goes with, sometimes it goes with the life. In a sense, like I said, my friend was essentially a financier. So of course he's going to be about money. He's going to be involved in money. It doesn't make him a bad person. So I don't want to come off as that this is a negative thing. It is the way I see it is what it is. Because we see here Aaron Doughty, he's Jupiter in the 1st house. You could say that a teacher, right? Someone who's a teacher. And we see he has Uranus Saturn in the eighth. This Uranus Neptune Saturn in the eighth. And he works on the internet. Saturn work, Uranus, internet. And I said a lot about him asserting his individuality with that Uranus at 29 degrees. It's in the eighth house. You could say he's doing that. The real reason he's doing that is to make a living. And, I don't know how much money he needs or thinks he needs. It could be a lot of money. And we see the planets in the 11th, in Neptune, or I'm sorry, in Pisces. This idea of being a spiritual teacher on the internet, 11th. And all the inconjuncts, this Jupiter is making an inconjunct to that Uranus in the 8th. That's a Scorpio inconjunct. So again, more emphasis on this. How do I figure out how to teach? How do I be the spiritual teacher in order to make a lot of money? Now, he may not have consciously did this. And that goes back to saying I'm not really making a judgment here. I don't know if he consciously did this. But I know he doesn't know enough about astrology to do what I'm doing right now. Or at least he's not conveying that through his understanding of astrology. Because these guys usually will talk about, and this is the thing too I will mention about this emphasis on Taurus Rising. These types of guys on the internet, guys and gals, will usually talk about astrology and how you don't want to go too deep into it. It's just a tool. It's not something to live your life by, etc., etc., etc. And usually these are the big money guys, the big money spiritual players that say this. And there could be good reason why they're not going deep into astrology, because it really displays that what I'm showing here, this life. We look at the Taurus rising. Is it more about spirituality? Is it more about selling spirituality? We see the Mercury in the 29 degree of the 7th house in Scorpio, relating to other people. Mercury being a seller. 29 degrees, that critical degree. And as I said, the Scorpio, the Venus and Pluto in Scorpio. And you could say there's no doubt that he's into the occult. He's into spirituality, spiritual teacher. There's no doubt here with the Jupiter in the first, the North Node in Pisces. Quite possibly Neptune in the 9th, the ruler there. We also see there is an indication of Neptune in the 9th. Where is he? When you look at Neptune places, you can see where is he disillusioned. I have Neptune the 12th, and it's been said that Neptune the 12th can be disillusioned by a lot of things. And let me tell you, I have been disillusioned many times over in my life. And there's no doubt that through my study of astrology, I am on the path of disillusionment again as I study astrology. So we see, well, what is the case for him with Neptune the 9th? Being disillusioned by spirituality. And, a person can become disillusioned by spirituality and think that, well, I'm just going to go make money off of it now. This is going to be my job. And through that process, that's what you're doing. You're not, I wouldn't say you're a spiritual person. A true spiritual person, and I'll even can come at myself here. A true spiritual person does not peddle spirituality on YouTube. A true spiritual person, typically is not a YouTuber astrologer. And I'm talking about myself here. If I was really, really, really going down that spiritual path, if that's what you saw on my chart, if that's what you saw for my life, I probably wouldn't be a YouTuber on astrologer YouTuber. That doesn't mean that I'm not spiritual, but I'm just not. Is that the main purpose of this life for me? I don't, at this point, I don't think so. Could be on my way there. Like this person could be on their way there, and the impetus to getting there could be this Taurus rising, making money online, because we don't know what he's going to learn on that path. As we see, the North Node is in the 11th in Pisces. Pisces can be correlated with spirituality, the 12th house, and it could be learning that path through the internet, through socializing with people on the internet, 11th house, through interacting with people, through his goals, through his big goals and objectives on his YouTube channel. Jupiter Venus in conjunct here, very fortunate aspect, Jupiter and Venus. It's in a Virgo in conjunct. How am I going to make money for work through this Jupiter in the first? Because I am a teacher and I feel the impulse to express and to teach and to help people maybe. How am I going to do that in order to make a living and work? Venus in the sixth. Moon in the second. So we see again the Taurus rising. Look at the Venus. Look at the moon now. It's in the second. House of money. What's ruling the second? Mercury. Everything I said about that Mercury, 29 degrees. I said this before about his chart. Mercury's a trickster. Is he a trickster? Is he aware of all this that I'm saying? I don't know. Could be. Or it could just be that Mercury is showing that he's, that he has this need to communicate. He's a great communicator. He wants to communicate his ideas to people. He's good at it. See, as part of fortune in the seventh there, quite possibly in the seventh, could be in the eighth. Sagittarius. Part of fortune in Sagittarius, the financier, the spiritual guru. Where does he make his money? Relating to people as a spiritual guru or spiritual teacher. Sagittarius. Taurus rising. What's the ruler? Venus. Where's Venus again? Sixth house, sextile, making a sextile to that Saturn, Uranus in the eighth. It's an opportunity to make something out of this on the internet. Uranus, the internet, to make something out of this in order to make money. Eighth house, Venus. Venus is moving towards a sextile to Neptune. Moving towards a sextile, meaning when is this going to occur? Sometime later in the life. It's not going to occur. There's many other ways we can look at the timing, but we could just say here loosely, the Venus is moving towards the Neptune. When is this going to occur? It's going to occur midlife or later. And when did it occur? It occur midlife or later. That's when the opportunity struck. It's also making a trine. This Venus is making a trine to the North Node, indicating more indication of everything that has to do with this North Node and it being easier for this person. I think of like big time YouTubers, and I think of what I'm doing now, and I, searching other YouTubers and the thousands, maybe more of YouTubers out there that struggle at a low, that struggle to get somewhere. And I don't know the real history of his YouTube channel, but a lot of times I have seen people not struggle at all. When I say struggle, I mean talking about multiple videos a day for a year or longer before they take off. And some people get capped at like 50,000 viewers, 100,000 viewers, where some other people take off to multiple millions of viewers. And why that occurs for some people and why it doesn't for others. Well, Venus trining that North Node in the 11th. So that is Taurus rising. There's one more thing we could say here with the Venus Mars. There's a Scorpio in conjunct between that Mars in the 11th and Venus. As I said, the Scorpio in conjunct, everything I explained about that earlier. There's an adjustment. This would indicate that when I talk about it being easy, this guy would be good at making those small adjustments in order to grow this channel, in order to grow his money. Pluto in the sixth, where he's coming from, oftentimes you see Pluto in the sixth, where he's coming from, South Node in Virgo in the fifth. These people with Pluto in the sixth will be spiritual people because they're moving into their polarity of the 12th house. They're trying to expand their mind. They're trying to get out of that Virgo narrowness that drives a person crazy, always in your head. How do you get out of your head? Well, you go to church, you go to God, you go to spirituality, you travel, you expand your mind. You don't think so much. You go into nothingness here in the 12th house. You can see that's consistent in his chart where we see where he's headed, the 12th and Pisces North Node. There. So, and the South Node Virgo and South Node and the Pluto in the 6th. So really going to be a strong attempt. You can see that with more of the success and more of the success and the focus on maybe making money on this because it is cathartic. It's probably cathartic for this person. So I'm not 100% sure about this Taurus Rising. It is what it is when I'm describing this. I hope you can use this as a way to understand Taurus Rising and how this works. And I hope you enjoy this mini Taurus Rising reading for Aaron Doughty.